and welcome to Talking Real Estate with John Gibson. Well, John, today's guest was one of rugby league's most respected forwards through the 80s and the early 90s. A two-time premiership winner with both the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs and the Panthers' inaugural premiership. He earned a reputation as a tough, intelligent competitor who excelled at the highest level of the game. His outstanding performance in Canterbury's 1988 grand final, saw him awarded the Clive Churchill Medal. Representative honours with the New South Wales Blues and the green and gold on the international stage. Quick look at the CV. 36 matches with the Roosters, 100 brings up the ton with the Dogs, 34 games with the Panthers, 60 with the Eels. Back with the Roosters, another 24 games, a total of 254. 12 matches for Australia, 3 origins for New South Wales, 3 for New South Wales Country, 2 for New South Wales City. Following retirement, he remained deeply involved in the sport through senior administrative and leadership roles, moving into rugby league administration. CEO of the South Sydney Rabbitohs after their return to the NRL, and later held board and deputy chairman positions with the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs. In 2000, he received the Australian Sports Medal for his contribution to rugby league. Now, the CEO of Believe First, and we'll dive into that business as well. We're looking forward to the chat, the journey, talking life, business, real estate, as we welcome Paul Dunn, talking real estate with John Gibson, your co-host Mark Warren. Well, great to see you, Dunny.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks for coming in, Dunny.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
You're hot off the plane, State of Origin 2. In one sentence, give us the wrap.
Oh,
Very disappointing. The game was there to be won, obviously, and then the game plan I thought was very, very poor. And there was opportunities in the second half when they got behind. They just kept playing the same pattern the whole time. They didn't play any football to try and get them, whereas Queensland played football the whole game.
Yeah. Change of personnel needed?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I thought, we were discussing earlier, the Olakau'atu not getting picked, and he's the best right second rower in the game. Putting Dylan Lucas there, he's a good player, but he's a left second rower, putting him on the right. I think Katoni Staggs is he's not the right bloke to have there.
Yeah.
And the group I was with, they were all bagging Brian Toto this morning. I'd actually keep him because he's just
Absolutely.
so good.
He gets so many hard yards up the centre, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He could go down as the greatest wing three-quarter of all time yet.
And then Kohler, I thought he played really well.
Yeah.
Just watching him live, how quick he is across the ground.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah.
Swapping sides, is it fair to say that they put on a Langer Lewis display, Walker and Munster? Just freakish.
Yeah, it was interesting at the end of the game when they said he was man of the match, Sam Walker. I didn't think he contributed that much early.
Yeah.
Towards the end he did.
Yeah.
But Munster, Harry Grant, the Hammer.
Yeah.
Watching the Hammer
Yeah.
play, he's just sort of, okay, I'm going to run now. I'm going to run through all these people. No one's going to touch me.
I could talk about this all day. We had to talk real estate. Just one question. Ethan Strange, would he have started in your side?
Probably, but he wanted to put Moses in there, and I think
I love Mitch Moses.
But I've seen Moses play better with Cleary, and I think they complemented it. But somehow their game plan was just, Queensland, when they were spreading the ball wide, they had plenty of players in motion. We were spreading the ball; it was just pass. It was just going across the field and not really damaging Queensland or finding any gaps.
All right, Gibbo, we head to game 3. We just got the wrap of game 2.
And it'll all come out in the wash very soon, very soon. But, all right, Paul, you're in business, you're busy lifestyle. What's your morning ritual? You up early?
Actually, the last couple of months I have been because part of my business now is AI training, or helping people with AI in their business. And the group I'm involved in, they're in America, so they have a 4 o'clock Central Time call every afternoon, which is 7 o'clock in the morning here. So 7 to 8. We've been doing the last 3 months different boot camps on elevating our knowledge about AI and what you can do with it. And,
You're putting the kettle on early.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is a pain in the butt because I actually like to go riding at that time of day, but so it's either try and squeeze it in after it or ride in the garage at the end of the day.
Righto, as I do with most guests who come on here, I write them out a cheque. Feeling very generous today. I've written out a cheque for $3 million. So you've got to buy property. Tell me what you're buying and why you're buying it. There you go. Don't drop it. Might bounce up and poke you in the eye.
I'd probably buy... Can I get rid of my current debt?
No. You've got to, this.
I like his thinking.
Well, hang on. 20% of it you can get attribute it to your current debt.
Just get rid of that, and then so that'd leave me with $2.5 million. Actually, I don't need that much, but I'd go and talk to yourself or someone else very knowledgeable in real estate around the country and find out where I could buy the best sort of duplexes, townhouses, and try and buy 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
And whack them in my super fund.
Yes. Are you going to leverage and borrow, or you want to buy them outright?
I would probably, given that I'm not going to retire for the next foreseeable future. Yeah. I was at a Roosters Christmas function a couple of years ago, and Kerry Bowstead said to me, "Dunny, you still working?" I went, yeah, mate. I said, due to some astute financial decisions in my earlier life, I'm still working. And he went, I can use that. So, yeah, I don't see myself retiring. I'd probably leverage, and that's why I said buy 2 or 3 of them and have them paid off by the time that I did retire, so you've just got that cash flow coming in.
Make sure that Albo doesn't take the capital gains.
Well, if they're in the super fund, it's okay.
I think you were alluding to that. I'm going to hit him with something later because it's got me totally confused.
Dunny, so where'd you grow up? Talk us through it.
Grew up in the country. I was born in Molong, and then we lived in Orange pretty much from when I started school till year 7, the end of year 7. Then we went to Blackheath for a couple of years. My parents ran a retreat house in an old convent up there, and people would go and have Catholic retreats and whatnot. And that was great because the house room was great. Blackheath was really cool.
Blackheath Fun Run.
And Blackheath played for the Blackheath Black Cats in the Penrith Junior League.
Fair dinkum.
So I played under 14s in Division 4, under 15s in Division 3. One more year I would have been a Penrith Junior.
Fair dinkum.
But
did Monster Kelly have a pub up there?
I don't know.
No, okay.
And then whatever happened, we moved back to Bathurst at the start of year 10, and at that stage I'd been in that was the 4th high school in 4 years, so sort of sick of making new friends, feeling sorry for myself. And when we left Orange, the best team in Bathurst was St Pat's, the Catholic team, and we were Catholic but we were going to the high school. Because we went back there and Mum said, you got a choice, you can go to Stanny's where your dad went, which was all boys and played rugby, or you can go to the high school, co-ed, and we'd been going to co-ed schools. So we're going to the high school. But so I was playing for St Pat's, and none of the guys from school were playing with there, so it was a bit of a stuffed up year. And I almost stopped playing to go and play golf. Not that I'm very good at golf, but... and then one of my mates said, I'll come down and play for Bathurst Railway, so played with them for the next 2 years in under 18s and played a year in first grade and reserve grade. Did a year at Mitchell College in Bathurst, doing a Bachelor of Business. And some bloke, Bob Heffernan, I think his name was, he'd played at the Roosters in the early 60s. He saw me playing and he said, do you want to go to Sydney? And I said, yeah, whatever. Played in the reserve grade grand final, we got beaten, and he grabbed me at the Leagues Club, and the next day, so it would have been the long weekend, well, the week before the long weekend in October, I had a conversation with Laurie Fryer and John Quayle, and yeah, that was right. And then I came down and had a chat with them, and they said, you come down and trial. So I came down and trial and never went home. And I didn't get graded the first year because I had that import rule.
Yes.
And so I just switched over my uni and...
So when you got graded down there, you moved down to Sydney, and back then during the 80s, 70s, 80s, and everyone was sort of part-time, semi-professional.
So I was going to uni, they got me a job at the Leagues Club, so I'd work at the club 3 days a week.
A few people got a job at the Leagues Club.
Yeah. And... In
the cellar?
I was going to uni. No, I was
Bum.
on the bar. Oh, on the tray more than behind the bar. And Yeah, wasn't a lot of money that first little bit. And then I was on a scholarship, so I got $1,000 and that. And back then, the uni fees were paid for anyway, so they paid my rent and gave me enough money to buy a colour TV at the end of the year, I think. Yeah.
Looking back, what did footy teach you that business couldn't?
There's always that thing about people say, analogies from sport that translate into business, and I think you can talk about them, but to actually get them to come into fruition is not necessarily that easy. So the teamwork part is really important, and when you train, like I remember when I went to Canterbury, because I'd had 3 years at the Roosters, 1 year playing juniors and 2 years in grade. The attitude about training at Canterbury was like, you just did it, and there was no whinging. There was no.
Did you what?
Yeah.
And everyone whinged, but nobody listened. But I remember that we used to do one thing where, the old coat hangers. So start at halfway, run around the goalpost, run around the other goalpost, come back to halfway again. And the backs had 35 seconds, the forwards had 38 seconds. So we used to run to the first post, and then Langers and I grab Peter Kelly, one arm each, and drag him down the other end, and then he could get back the other end. So because if you didn't get back by 38 seconds, the whole group had to do it again.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Billy Johnston perhaps involved?
Oh, possibly. Bargo. And then the last thing I remember, we used to do a lot of defensive work at Canterbury. Might have shown a little bit.
Really? Dogs of war. I think his dad knew about it a lot.
We used to do 3 sets of 6 on the tackling bag. So 3 tackles with your right shoulder, 3 tackles with your left shoulder. Alternate those. And then the last thing we do is get in a line on the halfway line, and you would jog really slowly down to the goal line, and you do 6 laps of the field like that in the line. And you just learnt that. And I remember when I coached my son's team in the under 8s and 9s and 10s and that sort of thing, that's what I used to say to the kids. So the line is your friend.
Yeah.
If you stick in the line, you're not coming through you. Someone will occasionally miss a tackle, but as soon as you get disjointed, I remember when I was playing at Parramatta in the early 90s, the line would sort of look all over the shop, and you just step your way through it type thing. But the line is your friend. But I remember that clearly, just doing those every week. You were doing that. Yeah.
I love that.
Simple as hard. Sometimes.
I love that.
Tell me this: when, like back then, the transition after you left, when you stopped playing rugby league, into business, obviously there's an adjustment moment. For professional athletes now who are full-time, do you think it's a harder transition for them? Because they're basically with their mates all day, every day, who they play with, and they're in that environment where everything's done for them, in a bubble. Yeah. Do you think it's a tough environment for them? It
would be. I actually had coffee with Marty Tapau the other week, and he's in business with his wife, Michelle, and they've got these diary planner things, and they run a program.
Not tackling customers, I hope.
No. We're doing deadlifts with him. I remember a video of him doing deadlifts with 500 kilos, and you just go, seriously? I can't even comprehend that. I'd have to do it 4 times to get that much. But the thing, I worked the whole time that I played. Even the last year in '96, when most of the rest of them were sort of going towards full time, I still tried to go to the office a couple of times a week. I spend at least 2 days there. But I found it really hard transitioning. So I was talking to Marty about it the other week, and he had the double whammy of Brisbane basically pushed him out of the club.
Yes.
Because he did that post, he liked the post that Ethan...
social media.
Yeah. And so they kicked him out of the club, and then all of a sudden you got this career, and he'd been full-time for 16 years. And he's sort of lucky that his wife had this business, and he fell into that with her, and that's helped. But still, emotionally, it's... And even the whole time I worked, people still say, because they saw me score one of my 8 or 9 tries, I can't remember. And it'd be Paul Dunn, accountant. So people go, "Oh, you're an accountant." And I go, "Mate, I studied accounting because I was good at maths, because that was my major in my business degree. I had no desire to be an accountant. I tried it a few times and I worked out I had a personality, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I apologise to all the accountants out there.
Excellent.
That's one of my favourite jokes. The stats you read out about my career earlier, they're really, I'm very proud of those and very grateful for them. But
as you should.
If I hadn't have put as much effort into my off-field career, how much better could my football career have been? Because I remember in 92, after we won the comp in 91.
Yeah, of
It
course.
was a very tough year, 92. We won't even go there. But 91, you were part of that pioneering team.
But 92 for me, I was with this group because I was selling insurance with AMP because it gave me much more flexibility around time and that. And we would go to schools and talk to them about their superannuation because the state super system was stuffed up.
Yeah.
And had this really good thing, but I was working down at Wollongong and around Penrith, so I'd be working all day. Then you get to training, screech into training. I could get changed quicker than Superman could, half the time in the car, and it was just so mentally draining. So my football suffered as a result because you can't have two masters. You can be good at one thing, you can't be good at two or three, and that's
But on the flip side, like any of these pro guys, there's two things. They've the reduction in income when they retire now is dramatic, and identity.
Identity is the main. That's sort of where I was heading. So I always thought of myself as I was an accountant or a financial planner or a business coach or whatever it was. Actually, I got into coaching when I finished, but so financial planner. And I never thought footballer. But as soon as I wasn't playing football and I wasn't a footballer anymore, that really hit me. Every Tuesday I'd hang around with 50 blokes and we'd train and make jokes and have fun, and I'd get home and my wife would have dinner on the table because we had 2 kids by that stage. Dinner on the table at 6 o'clock at night, and I'm going, I don't eat dinner at 6 o'clock at night. I'm used to eating at 8 o'clock. It was a really big shock for me. So I imagine the guys now, but they do a lot of stuff for the long termers anyway about transitioning and helping them. And ideally, the amount of money that they're getting now, they should be able to set themselves up reasonably well.
Well, I'll go there. I think people have always had a perception of Paul Dunn and business, and respectfully a finger in a lot of pies, business-wise. And sometimes you're like, well, I know he's in consulting and marketing, and now you're talking AI. Business has always been a big focus. I get that. There's similar networks. We move in similar circles. We always hear who's doing what. Is the bigger challenge the reduction in income or the loss of identity and belonging to what comes with what's no longer being a part of that team environment? Is it the loss of identity or belonging? What's harder? Or the loss of no longer being in, I think the bubble?
The belonging and the identity thing are probably, they're two parts of the same whole, whatever it is. The income thing, at the end of the day, and I've found this numerous times over my career, over my life, I'd be in a role like I was a sales manager at McGrath, and I'd stayed there longer than I probably should have, because you think you need the income, and then you go and do something else and you make the money. Money will come to you if you've got the right attitude, I believe, and you're doing the right things. You can't just do nothing. Although some people make more money doing nothing. But the identity and who you are and that belonging thing. So for the 2 years after I finished...
That routine.
Yeah, for the 2 years after I was finished, 3 years after I was finished, I was a member at the football stadium. We were living at Coogee. I just used to go to the football every second week and get drunk. Because hang around the footy. That was my way of coping with not being a footballer anymore. Yeah. So you'd hang around, so I'd see Gus and Sammy Ayub and Beaver and Chimes and all those blokes at the members' bar at the football stadium.
Okay.
And
not a bad
and I look, this is all hindsight stuff, and that's how I coped.
Yeah.
With not being...
Yeah, that's good honesty. Locate and Negotiate John Gibson's Locate and Negotiate, our special guest today, Paul Dunn, and we thank him so much for being here. Smart advice, expert guidance, better property outcomes. Search locatenegotiate.com.au. And where were we, John?
You've spent, in terms of your business now, what's your main focus?
My main focus is I do business coaching and consulting with licensed clubs and accountants, and the AI thing sort of came to me early last year. A guy I know in America in one of the groups I'm involved with over there, I said something about AI and he sent me something, so I did this course, and then they said, you can buy a license, bought the license. Then it took me about 6 months to work out how to actually sell what I had. And it's going really good now, because I just saw the AI as complementing. If I'm going to help someone by coaching in their business to help them run their business better, AI was a no-brainer, because productivity, efficiencies, all those sort of things.
It's a big beast, isn't
it?
Can you dumb it down for me? As in how big an impact it's going to have on a lot of big companies?
I think ultimately...
Or is it the biggest shift you've seen in business?
Okay. That's a better way of putting it, John.
Yeah.
It will be in the end when people actually understand what it is. So most people...
Yeah.
I listened to this podcast called the AI Daily Brief, and a few months ago he said, what happens when you go from one technology to the next? He said, use the telegram to the telephone. He said the initial telephone calls, because a telegram was, I would send a message to Mark, and Mark would get the message, and he would send me a message back. That's what the telephone calls were like. Hey, Mark, you need to do this, blah, 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 blah. He'd hang up, and then he'd ring me back.
Yeah.
Because they...
Then the facsimile?
wasn't about... Yeah, but it wasn't about the conversation until they worked the conversation. So for a lot of people at the moment, AI is like the platform they understand is Google, so they just type something in as if it's in Google. So they use it like Google search. They don't know how to understand. So it's like anything. If you understand what the rules are, and like I can watch most sports because I understand what the rules are, then you can understand where the talent and all that stuff. And so many people look at, well, that's stupid. Well, understand what it's about, and then you can actually enjoy the intricacies of what it's about. So it's the same with AI. It's about, I was just talking to Ian Thompson, and he's the CEO at Forestville RSL. If you give it enough context, and there's all these benchmarks now, and it's improved so much since ChatGPT came out 3.5 years ago. If you give it enough context now, 82% of the time or 84% of the time, the top versions of ChatGPT or Claude will give you a better result than an expert in that industry.
Yeah.
So you don't need experts anymore if you know how to program the thing. And then it's about, so where it's at the moment is creating agents. So things that you do on a repetitive basis, I can automate them. So I get an email sent to me every morning, which is an assessment of what's going on in the club industry, AUSTRAC and AML, CTFs, anti-money laundering type stuff, because that's really big in the industry at the moment. And if anyone's moved clubs and things like that. So I get that email to me every morning, and then I get another report sent to me, and I get something else done. Like 12 months ago, none of that was happening.
But it allows you to, building an agent, it gets to, if you do it right, it gets to know your DNA, like how you operate as a business.
The group I'm part of,
and how you...
We create agents with it. It's a 5-file sequence, so it's a start here, the golden example. If you've got a really good golden example, so, I did some work with a facilities management company, and it was an RFP, response for, or request for, whatever the P was, request for proposal, that's what it is. They just gave me one, and we created an agent around that, so the next time they have to do an RFP, which normally would take them about a week to put together, it just asks a few questions. It uses the example, the golden example. It's got the process, it's got the context, and then you put the quality control gates in at the end, so it checks everything off and gives it back to you.
Yeah.
So it isn't about you checking the work, it's about you just looking at the output going, yep, tick. So instead of taking them a week, it now takes them an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
And what else can you do with that week?
What give me one, like if it's a business who's not utilising AI, give me one thing a business should be doing to implement AI.
Well, the simple thing is to really work out what are the things that you do that are repetitive that bore the hell out of you and you don't like doing them.
Yes.
Because you get rid of them. There was a guy I saw at a conference last year, and he was a futurist. I love that term. And he said, if you can get rid of the boring, the mundane and the tedious, your life isn't that bad. And that's really where AI comes into for a lot of people. And there's always the thing that, AI is going to eat your babies, and it's going to take your job and that sort of thing. All I'm finding is that for me, it's just creating so much more opportunity. The quality of the information that I can produce, and I went to a conference in Penrith in May for the Leagues Clubs and RSL Clubs Association, and there were 8 speakers, and I've got this little recording device called Applaud, so I recorded each session, and normally it would summarise the notes for me. But I just got the transcript, created an agent in AI to give me a summary. So it had a summary of the main points for each speaker, what that meant for your club, how you could implement that, and then if that resonated you, what I could do for them. So obviously it was a selling tool. And so there were 8 of those. Then it created it, put it all together, and I just sent it out to all the guys who were there, who I know didn't take any notes, and the people who weren't there that should have been there. And the feedback I got from them is, oh, wow, how'd you do that? And, yeah.
Well, I see it as speed. I look at it as speed. I think that the speed it does things at is off the charts. So that allows any business what I'm doing is to be able to potentially do more work and spit more work out.
Well, the things I look at, it's productivity, it's quality, and it's potential. It's allowing you to do stuff that you couldn't do before. There's no way I could have produced that 8. That would have taken me weeks. Like, I got an example proposal from the guru in America, and I'm very flippant about that because he's very smart. But at the end of March, and I then, off the back of that, I produced 23 more proposals by the end of April. So in 1 month, I created 23 proposals. Now, all I did was I put the proposal in, gave it the web address of the next club, and said, create me this proposal. 10 minutes later, I had the proposal. Now, traditionally, that would have taken me an hour and a half of researching on the thing, probably an hour and a half on Canva or PowerPoint, which I'm not that great at. There's 60 to 90 hours of work in a month. Like, that was never going to happen.
Yep.
Okay.
And now it's done.
Locate, negotiate, residential buyer's agent, commercial buyer's agent, commercial tenant representation, seller's advocacy, consult and research services. Locate, negotiate, smart advice, expert guidance, better property outcomes. Search John Gibson's Locate, Negotiate.
Okay, let's do property program. So tell us about your first property purchase. So obviously when you came down to Sydney, you were renting or been billing it out.
Yep.
So then you saved some coin, you bought your first property. Talk us through it.
Bought the first unit in Flood Street. It was on the corner of Flood Street and Bondi Road, opposite Waverley Oval.
Do you know the address? We can look it up. We can work out what it's worth now. You probably know yourself, do you?
No. When did we sell that? I think we sold it in...
What did you pay for it?
Paid 117.
Back when?
Start of 88. So the properties had just started to go up after Black Monday and interest rates and stuff like that. So I think I was paying 18% interest. I borrowed 90 grand. And the thing was, if I would have bought it 5 months earlier, it probably would have cost me 70 grand.
And how long did you have it for?
Till we built the place at Coogee, so that was the start of 96, 97. So probably 9 years.
9 years?
And it went up, I think I sold it for 160.
160.
So it didn't go up. It sort of,
Didn't go up exponentially.
I bought after it had gone up. But the thing was, I didn't go to the auction because I had to go to training, and my fiancée, she went with my accountant, they bought it, and there was, because it was around the corner from the synagogue, so there was a older Jewish couple there, and they sort of bid it up. So it was worth probably 90, 95, and first property, you go over the budget.
Yeah. So how old were you then?
I would have been 23, 24.
So who motivated you to buy the property? Do you have if there's someone you're leaning on to get for advice back then, or?
No, Tim Pickup was he was an ex-Canterbury player, and he was selling insurance, so he got me superannuation, and he said buy property and never sell it. I didn't listen to him.
And what attracted you to that area?
I lived at Randwick.
Yeah, so...
Or Coogee, wherever.
Yeah. Like the area? So
if I was smarter, I would have bought out west.
What? Like acreage or?
No, I would have bought the house or
a house.
Something.
Why do you say that? You bought in Randwick. I mean, it's been fairly good growth area.
Why?
Because I could have bought probably 2 for
Okay.
the
Yeah.
price of, and then the
Okay.
rents would have been equivalent. I like that, the whole idea of rent vesting and that sort of thing, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I did, because I had opportunity around that time. There's a block of units where Giles Baths used to be at Coogee, on north
Yeah,
end of Coogee
yeah.
there.
Yeah, my favourite spot.
That cul-de-sac there, that block of units right
Yeah,
on
yeah,
there.
yeah. They look like
And-
they're going to fall over.
Yeah, and
No, they're just, they're old.
what's
Yeah.
his name? Justin Hems bought one in there, because when he
Really?
built the pavilion,
Yeah.
he went and paid like $3 million and bought the furniture and everything, just so he could have crash when he went there to have a drink.
Right on the point of the headland.
Yeah, I could have bought one of them for 120 grand at the end of
Oh my goodness.
87 and didn't do it.
Was your strategy back there, were you buying because you just wanted to own something, or did you feel like it
Yes.
was a way of getting ahead?
Both.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily want to live in the ones I had. And then we bought a unit just before we got married in Kensington Road, 6/53 Kensington Road.
Know it.
Yep. And then we bought when I went to Penrith, they had some super fun setup thing that you bought it. So I bought a semi at Canada Bay, because that was as far west as I could get my wife to move. Pretty much sold all of them, and because we built a house at Coogee, in Beach Street in Coogee, and we lived there for...
Is this after the first purchase?
Hmm.
So you then bought
Oh,
a knockdown, or did you buy something you renovated, or?
no, it was the back end of a block that they'd subdivided, and then...
Yeah.
But then it was like about a 12-month, because there was a covenant on it that any property had to be facing east, and ours was going to be facing west of Beach Street, because the house, when they subdivided it, that was that way, and we were up this way.
Yeah.
So
it
who-
took like 12 months to get us out. But
Did you
originally, there was a guy, Dennis James, he was a sponsor at Parramatta. I can't remember the name of his business. But we were trying to find somewhere where we could build 3 townhouses or a duplex or whatever, and we ended up with a house. Yeah.
When you say it had the caveat on it, when you went in and did the deal, were you, did you do your due diligence in regards to, were you privy to the impacts of the caveat?
No, it wasn't a caveat, it was a covenant.
Oh, covenant, sorry. That's what I meant, covenant, sorry.
We were after we bought that place, yeah. Or we bought the block of land, yeah.
Yeah. And what, so you had to, did you go in and design, thinking you're going to design a particular way, and the next thing you...
Oh, there was
Yeah,
already
that's it.
some DA approved plans, and then we changed a few things around and
Right.
put bigger windows in, and yeah. And we did it as single brick, and we should have done downstairs as double brick, and had a concrete slab for the second floor, which we didn't do. But that was a pretty good house. The guys who bought it off us, Chinese couple, they end up knocking down and rebuilt, and what they built looks horrible.
Locate, negotiate. John Gibson's Locate, Negotiate. Our special guest today, Paul Dunn, and we thank him so much for being here. Smart advice, expert guidance, better property outcomes. Search locatenegotiate.com.au. And where were we, John?
Have you ever bought a property and regretted it later?
I regretted selling some of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Do you feel
Good
like you should have
pause
held?
there, Paul. Very good pausing. I like that.
Pardon? Sorry.
Well, as I say to a lot of people, sometimes you wish second thoughts came first.
Yeah.
When you think, do I hold or I mean, a lot of people who have made a lot of wealth through property have held property.
Yeah.
Do
It was interesting.
you
though.
think your timing was right?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Gibbo, when's the right time? You've told me we're never going to pick the top of the market. We're
I
never
like
going
to
to
ask
pick the
the
bottom
question.
of it.
I like to ask the question.
I remember I was sitting in a mate's office, 2000. There was a BRW Rich, and they had the Rich list in there, and they had all these people who'd made money out of property. None of them made money out of buying and holding. They'd all made money out of developing and that sort of thing. And I think the whole buy and hold thing, that's why I think actually the new changes where people have got to invest in new property rather than investors buying existing properties is actually going to be better. It's going to improve the...
Hang on, are you going down? Hang on, I want to say that again slowly, please.
I think
It changes negative gearing.
it changes negative.
think it's a positive thing?
No, don't tell me it's a
No. Just let.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to be involved.
I think it's
It's a
actually
big no.
a better way because you make more money in the development part of the build than you do buying and holding long term. I think there's more potential in that. And it's going to increase the supply of the property as well, so that sort of helps.
Do you think the new introduction with these, like overall, the introduction of the negative gearing, the taking out the negative gearing, CGT tax,
I think
the impact?
Because you can still negatively gear one property, can't you?
No,
I don't know. Ask the expert here.
It's if you've got an existing one, grandfathered.
Yeah, it's grandfathered.
So
Thank you.
you can buy. It doesn't affect new property, and it doesn't affect commercial property.
Yeah, and that's where I think getting people to go and invest in new property, which will increase housing supply, which is always one of the bugbears.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a kid, my parents bought a housing commission property. They bought a house. They didn't rent it because you could buy housing commission back then, and it was a good area. It turned out later when all those people moved out, it got trashed a bit. But
But here's the thing. My question is that when people buying new property, but my philosophy has always been you've got to buy new. You can buy new property, but you want to make sure you buy it in the right spot.
yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So a lot of these new developments aren't necessarily going to be in the right
No.
areas.
I want to keep you there, Gibber. Stay with me because I think this is a great point and it's good to have robust discussion, and that's what a podcast is about, conversation. So many people are asking me, and I said, well, I have to talk to Gibber. Grandfathering, purchasing an investment property you've never slept a night in 2017. Is that, and I was talking to Mia before you arrived because we wanted to hit you with capital gains and dumb it down for us. If that property is sold post 2027, is that investment property, is it going to be hit with any of this new GS?
Well, the legislation hasn't been rubber stamped as yet.
It hasn't been written yet.
Yeah. So
good.
So look, I think for me, I think the negatives outweigh the positives. I just think I can see the effects what's happening in the marketplace right now. Buyer seller sentiment is pretty low.
And then if I'm going to sell, people say, a lot of GPT in this, by the way. And then if I'm going to sell, then Mr. Buyer here, he can't get the rewards he once could. So is it going to very much affect buyer sentiment when it comes to selling your said investment property?
But it's one of the challenges, and this is sort of out of left field, is that, you know, we need places for people to live. We have a lot of homeless people in the place, and there's a lot of... and housing supply, even though, you know, someone puts up a block of units and there's 10% of that's affordable housing. Yeah, how affordable is it? It's not really that affordable if you've got no money. So we need to get back to the point where housing should be for people to live in. It's not your main wealth vehicle, and that's where I think a lot of it's gone. You know, and the old 80-20 rule, you understand the 80-20 rule. 20% of what you've got produces 80% of the results, and flip that around the other way, the Pareto rule. You go and have a look at the number of people that investors who negatively gear, the number of people who got one property versus, you know, the total number that are negatively geared and the number of people who've got multiple properties. There are a really small number of people who've got multiple properties, but they own, you know, reams of them. There's got to be some sort of bring it back to reality, and you know they're using it as a financial vehicle.
Our parents worked their asses off to buy that one investment property, and are now going to get slugged for something that they did so long ago when they were told to buy bricks and mortar. And I'm not talking about, like you said, the people with multiple properties. I'm talking about mum and dad that worked their butt off, paid all their tax, did their super, and got one investment property, and now the rules are being flipped.
Well, I think that one of the issues is going to be is that, you know, if the encouragement's not there for people to invest, because the vast majority of people who are investing in property are buying established property. Because one of the reasons is because buying new is on the nose for a lot of people, because all the dodgy builders who are building. There's
Well
some
said,
very,
Gibbo.
very credible builders, and there's some dodgy ones. So people, they're on the nose. So people are more tending to buy something that's established, stood the test of time. They can make an informed decision. Something new can be covered up, and it all comes out in the wash later on.
So this is good stuff.
But what the problem is I see is that if the encouragement's not there for people to invest in property, is that what's that going to do for rent supply? Rent supply will drop, in my opinion, over the long term because people aren't investing. Wasn't that long ago when people were lining up down the streets in the eastern suburbs, inner west, to try and rent a place? So if the stock diminishes, what's going to happen? Rents will go up. Because landlords will be going, well, I'm not getting the upsurge in, they'll buy in, investors will buy in. They might not get the upside of negative gearing, but they might get their return on investment may go up. So,
well, it's not quite 60 minutes, but almost. It's
it will all
talking
come
real
out in the
estate
wash.
and John Gibson.
It's an opinion play. Everyone's got an opinion
is
when it
good.
comes to property,
Yeah.
and it will all come out in the wash. But in what I've seen, what I've experienced, I don't think it's a positive thing for the market.
Okay, and I'm with you. And then I'm listening here to the other points of view.
But the hard thing about it is...
And we're going to wind up because there's a lot to get through here.
But if you're not in the market, it's hard for people to get in the market.
Yeah.
And that's where, if prices come back, it makes it easier for the first home buyers and people who can't get in. That's one.
Well,
that's
I mean,
the
they
flip
have
side of it.
It's all relative, Paul.
5% deposit scheme.
Would you
people
go and
with-
buy a house with 5% deposit if you didn't have any other money? That's all you had.
Well, there's people with negative equity in their properties right now who bought last year. I mean, areas which were going gangbusters out the Penrith ways, the outer west, the greater west, and all those areas, people got... it was a very robust market, and it's very subdued at the moment, and people, prices have come back, which, if you're a first-time home buyer buying in, there's some upside. But at the end of the day, people buy property for wealth creation if they buy for 100 grand, they're going to sell for 200 down the track. So
No, I understand that, but I think that's where the challenge, getting the balance right between having enough housing for people to live in and people making money. When the house becomes a financial asset rather than Maslow's hierarchy of needs, shelter and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
That's where the challenge comes in, and I think the balance has got out of whack over the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
It's gone much more towards the wealth thing than it was.
Yep.
You could still make money if you bought a house like the average house in Sydney in the early 80s was around $40,000, $40 to $100,000,
Depending where you bought,
now you look at it, the average house in the eastern suburbs, you can't get anything under $2 million.
Did you know that Bob McCarthy, they said he was stark raving mad, his teammates, when he bought a place here at Coogee for $10,000.
I know where he lives,
He said, how would you go and spend $10,000? You wouldn't get a doormat in Coogee for $10,000.
Well, I'm filthy that someone didn't get me when I first went to Canterbury in 86.
Really?
Because I could have bought a unit in Coogee for 40 grand.
Wow. Are you
A
serious?
2-bedroom unit for 40 grand.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
You could probably stay there for a week now.
For 40 grand.
Now, unless we're not done, John Gibson talking real estate and all things capital gains and Anthony Albanese. Are we doing rapid fire now?
Well, I just want to know, so Dunny, where are you living now and why are you living there?
We live at Chifley and we've been there for 18 months. We live in a duplex and it's got views out to the water. I like to be able to see the water.
Yes.
I don't go to the water that much, but I like to be able to see it.
Yeah. Therapeutic.
Yes, exactly. And
It's gorgeous.
my son and daughter-in-law lived there last year with us, for a little while, but now it's just my wife and I. So we had the Palace in the Sky up in Carrington Road. It was 4-bedroom, 2-level. It was huge.
Just here.
Yeah. And that just got too big for both of us. And so we bought a unit near the Doncaster at Kensington.
Yeah.
In there. And you talk about, you know what you're getting when you buy an existing property.
Yeah.
Thank God we moved out when we did, because now they've got levies coming in everywhere.
Yeah.
Brother,
But my
Kensington, special levies, don't go there. I'm in NCAP right now.
I reckon Nicole went to 150 different places trying to find somewhere for us to live. So we found this place at Chifley, and when we moved in, I said, if someone told me 15 years ago I was living in Chifley, I would have laughed at them.
Yeah.
But Garlo got me in as the treasurer at the Coast Golf Club, so it's a 4-minute drive from my garage to the treasurer's parking spot at the golf club.
Well done. The coast.
And
So overall, as
and
property-
from a travel point of view, it's except to go to the northern beaches, it's really easy to get to anywhere in Sydney from there. There's
Yeah.
the M8, the M4,
Yeah.
the
How
road
good's the
system.
M8?
The road system now is so much better.
The
than it
M8
used to be,
is incredible. I use it a lot.
I got out to
So-
Penrith in 50 minutes the other week
From
Chifley.
that's a big effort.
Yeah, yeah.
What time was it?
6:30 at night.
Yeah, good time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be trying to.
So overall, property's been kind to you?
Yeah, it has. And then I tried to do all other stupid things, and as I said, astute financial decisions. I probably lost more money than most people make in their lives. So yeah.
Yeah.
You're still punching.
For any young guy getting into the property industry, what would be your advice?
Go and find a really good advisor and sit down and create a plan, and don't think you know it all. And because I had a business degree, I thought I knew, I then got a T-shirt off my father-in-law years later had a quote from Socrates on it. Said, "The only thing I know is that I don't know anything."
Yeah.
When I subscribe to that, I go really well. When I start getting ahead of myself, then I stuff up.
Which is a good way, because you said to get advice, right? Well, I'll tell you what to do, Paul. You go to Locate Negotiate. Residential buyer's agent, commercials buyer's agent, commercial tenant representation, seller's advocacy, consultant research services. Locate Negotiate, smart advice, expert guidance, better property outcomes. Search John Gibson's Locate Negotiate, as advised by Paul Dunn. Now, this is a new segment, kinda, and we put our creatives on, and I came up with a really good name for this. It's called Rapid Fire. Yeah. Right, okay, so that went over like a lead balloon. So the first, right, so it's rapid fire, okay, as we wrap things up and we're into the home
Is this a
straight.
new thing? Well, I feel like we've been doing this for about 2
We
years.
have, and
mate.
I call it new every time. That's
Yeah.
part of the...
Right.
Right,
Just
so
roll with it.
you've played in some big club games. You've just given us a review of State of Origin 2. You played Origin, you played in the green and gold. But looking back, what are you most proud of that nobody ever talks about? I didn't write that. I'd like to claim it, though. It's a good question, eh?
It is a good question.
Yeah.
It's a pondering question.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody ever talked most proud of.
Yeah.
There's plenty of moments, no doubt.
Usually when I left a club, it was in a better position than when I got there.
Panthers.
No, actually, it wasn't when I left there.
No, mate, that guy, I'm the... Hey, that's...
After
That's
football,
close to the bone. The community was
both
broken.
times I've been on the board
Yeah.
at Canterbury, it
Mm.
was in a better position than when I got
Right.
there.
Right.
It's funny, I was at a golf day recently, someone rang me up and said, connected with Canterbury, and goes, "Mate, would you get back on the board?" And I went, "Yeah, no, my wife had divorced me, so probably not."
Yeah.
I said that to her the next day, and she said, "Good answer."
Stay with me, Paul.
A little time consuming, I would have thought.
When you first walked into a Kangaroos camp, who were the players you looked around and thought, I can't believe I'm sharing a room with these blokes?
Well, Crusher was my roomie on the Kangaroo tour, so that was, yeah,
How was that?
that was cool.
It was cool, eh?
Yeah, because I was one of the young blokes, so we'd go out every night.
Two
and-
country boys.
Yeah, but and his brother Les was playing at Widnes, so he would go over and have beers with Les, and we didn't see that much of each other training, and then they'd have a quiz show on in the afternoon. I'd watch that, and they'd have the sheepdog show, and he'd watch.
The old country boy.
This is
Very-
in Leeds in
Orialda.
1986. Yeah.
Orialda?
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell
you
me
better
this.
wrap her up.
Who was the best leader you played with, and what made them different?
I reckon I know the answer. I'm trying to think of the years, though, for this bloke. I might have gone a bit early.
Best leader. Probably the King.
Oh.
It's hard to argue that one.
Yeah, very hard. You've just...
It was interesting though, because we were at the footy last night, and we couldn't hear what he was saying, but
Yeah.
we could see what was on Channel 9.
Yeah.
And someone made a comment about him, and I said, before he had his brain tumour, he was quite demeaning to a lot of people, and he's become a lot more mellow since then. But as far as playing football with him and being a leader and that sort of thing, yeah.
The epilepsy and so
You
forth.
just follow him.
My father
Yeah.
thinks the world
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah.
He's a, yeah.
We played one game at Bradford because I was lucky. Well, it was Blocker's misfortune. He dislocated his elbow, so I got in the test side for the back end of the tour. And normally the test side would play on a weekend, and the other team would play midweek. But the last week, Donny switched them around. So there's about half the test team played on the Tuesday night against Bradford, and Mario was playing for Bradford, and Benny was playing with us. So this is just after they'd had all their shit. But there was one part where they were coming out of that bottom left-hand corner, and Wally did 5 tackles in a row and just smashed them. And you just go, wow, like from I'm going to play with him. I'm going to do what he said.
Yeah.
But then he could throw the ball 30 metres, and he could kick the ball, and he could run, and he was a complete footballer. Yeah.
Could you answer quickly what it was like playing under Gould, under Gus, the sheriff?
Well, he coached me at 3 clubs,
Yeah.
and we won the comp twice. So
Genius.
yeah. I always say they say there's a fine line between being a genius and a lunatic, and I reckon he wanders over that from time to time.
I think he'd almost say. I always one of the things, genius doesn't always come in a neat package.
No, and he, like I don't have much to do with him these days, but if I ever need anything, if I text him, I text him for his birthday every year,
Yep.
and I normally get one back, and then. But if I ask him for something, he always responds and
that's it.
does it straight away. And and I know a lot of people bag him and for whatnot, but Penrith are where they are. Not totally because of him, but
The pathways.
Jimmy Jones, Matt Cameron, they all
Jimmy,
contributed.
Yep.
And the same thing.
You guys,
Canterbury,
you
Canterbury,
dug
were,
the well.
Canterbury were going well, but I don't know what happened to them this year.
Anyway,
I can't put my finger on that one.
That's another podcast.
that's another podcast.
We can dissect
Paul,
that later.
thank you so much for joining us on John Gibson's Locate, Negotiate, talking real estate with our industry leader, John Gibson. An absolute pleasure, and thank you for giving us some robust discussion around Albanese. That's going to make Mia over here. She's got a pointer ready to go there. That was getting robust. I liked it. It was good. Until next time, when we're talking real estate with John Gibson. Until next time, Gibbo.
Good to see you, mate.
All right. It's bye for now.